Record. Hi, everybody.
Hello. What's up,
Welcome
guys?
to another episode,
Another episode of
our spiritual chemistry. Today's episode, we are going to talk about my lovely, well, that's not a good word, lovely, my wonderful husband.
we had to do it over
Oh,
because
man.
we did this segment. What number is this?
11.
Yeah, podcast episode 11. We made a mistake and had the NFL playing in the back, and they was giving us warnings that it wasn't working. They was giving us warning to cut the TV off, right?
I didn't see anything. I don't
No,
know.
we heard something They kept
Oh,
beeping. They kept beeping. We didn't know what it was.
right.
It was notifying us that we gotta get rid of the TV in the back because of NFL laws or whatever. But here we are doing it over again. They put us on probation for a couple of days, like what, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we are back again, and yeah, we decided to do this episode in the shop because what it's about. What's the name? What's the title of this again?
Lamar the Barber.
I forgot. We had a
You
long
forgot.
we had a long day today and driving all over the place. But yeah, here we go.
Right. So, for those of you who don't know, my husband is a barber. We are in the barber shop today, like he said. So, how long have you been a barber?
Well, I've been started cutting my hair at the age of 14. Me and my brothers. So if you consider that being a barber back then, no,
I wouldn't.
no. But what would you consider? Because I've been
Um,
telling people that forever. I started cutting hair when
well,
I was 14.
but you did.
Huh?
When did you start cutting other people's hair or
Besides,
charging?
besides
When
my
did you start charging?
probably like the age of 15. So I started cutting myself first. My father used to cut my hair, and he was real mean,
Rough.
hard, rough, and aggressive. And he used to be cutting me every. I thought he was cutting me on purpose. He used to put a razor edge around my hair. He always cut me, and I hated that, man. I used to be shook. And plus, he used to whoop me like crazy. So I felt like I was getting a whooping when he cut my hair. So he worked and was doing whatever he was doing. Left the clippers around, started cutting my own hair, and I always used to give myself a little bald spot in the top and the back because it was a swirl mark back there, and I didn't know how to get it right, but I didn't care as long as he wasn't cutting it. And then I'm the oldest of three siblings, my sister and my two younger brothers, and so I started cutting them. And then my close cousins, my first cousins, my mother's sister, her kids, my auntie, they used to see me cut hair, and I started cutting them, and then it snowballed effect. They were popular in high school, so I started cutting them. They started letting me cut some of their friends, Harding High School had some NBA players coming out of there. I cut a few of those guys. It was nice basketball, and then it just snowballed effect. Yeah.
So, how long has it been for those who don't know you personally? Like, how long has that been?
Um, how long has since I started cutting like
Or
making money?
how long have you, yeah, either been a barber or entrepreneur owning
Around
a barber shop?
15. So I started cutting myself 14, 15, started getting paid. Snowballed effect. Started cutting everybody in high school. Got real popular with that. Um, and decided that, wow, I'm making good money. I love cutting hair. I was extremely passionate. I always was an artist. I think my mother taught me how to be neat. My father always told me, if you're gonna do it right the first time. So I would. My father beat me in the head with that because I used to help him with a lot of carpentry work, working on cars, trucks, everything, the house, and you know, he literally beat it in me on how to use my hands. So I got nice with my hands, regardless on what tools you. The clippers is the tools. I learned how to control the clippers, and I was an artist. And then my mother always taught me how to be clean. So I think a collage of that transcended into me being a barber and then just being an artist, man. I used to draw a lot, and I used to back in the days. I used to do a lot of dope. I wish I had that too, like and back in the '80s, mid '80s, late '80s. Used to do a lot of designs, and I only had one clipper. I had the Andis or the wall. I had the Andis, and I think it was the walls first, and I had the Andis. And I used to have them just the clipper, and they used to be my trimmers and my clipper. You know what I mean? So I used to do everything with one clipper. I had two of the same clippers, and I didn't have no trimmers back then. I used to have them so sharp. It was dope. But yeah. So I got popular like that, and then I used to love to dress, man. So when I started making money, I used to just buy clothes all the time, and just being an artist, dressing is part of art, and yeah. So started getting paid, man. And I said, you know what? I'm not. Everybody was going to college, taking what's the name of that test? The ASMAT. What's the name of that test? SAT. And then the other thing for the army and all that.
ASVAB.
And I was like, man, I'm going to school. I went to Harding High School in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And then after that, I decided to go to Bullet Havens Tech full time dope program for my cosmetology license. And I was so busy early, even in cosmetology school. My Mr. D, my director, cosmetology director, I would have to give him a cut. I used to have people come get a haircut while I'm in school, and then he would get a percentage of it. I always wonder what he did with that money. You know what I mean? Probably kept it for himself. But anyway,
Incriminating.
he was getting it. He was getting it. But maybe that was teaching me responsibility, right? But anyway, yeah. So that's that. And so
So we'll just so from being a barber, you've done other things. You wrote a book called More Than a Barber, which where did the title come from, and what is in the book for those who don't know?
oh man, after so many years of being a barber and watching uh, people grow, watching myself grow, going through a lot of trials and tribulations. Being a barber, I was cutting all walks of life, all ethnicities, doctors, judges, lawyers, professors, drug dealers, killers. Everybody needed a haircut. Everybody wanted somebody to love them. Everybody loved somebody, but everybody took different paths to get there. Um, I've been through a lot, man. I've seen a lot of people, you know, come to me, get a haircut, pass away that same night, whether they just died of natural causes or getting murdered in the street. And so, and that was in the basement. Then when I opened up the shop with my partner back in 1995, I'm skipping a lot. I cut in the arcade mall for a minute before I opened the shop in 1995. So I went from my basement to the arcade mall downtown. Was in there in a unisex shop, and for a couple of years with Lisa. And then I was looking to open up my own shop. Kept running into this guy was real popular in Bridgeport, uh, and my partner shop, and he was looking to open up a shop. I was looking to open up a shop back then. We thought it already had too many shops in Bridgeport. It was like probably 7 shops back then, maybe 10, I don't know. But we thought it was too many shops, so we decided to open one together. And we tried to come up with a name, and I remember it was like we was going back and forth forever. And then I was like, oh man, back then it was a phrase when you did something for somebody or whatever, or the phrase was like good looking out. I appreciate it. Like it was like thank you instead of thank you, say good looking out. And then it went from good looking out to good looking, and so I was like, oh snap! After I finished cutting people, they'd be like, oh man, good looking out. I appreciate it. To good look, bro, good look. And I was like, yo, we got to name the shop Good Look, and he agreed. And yeah. So did I answer your question? I always do that.
The book.
Yeah. So man, but it's like you jump right to the book, and so much things happen to put a book to come. Uh, so okay, and I ended up having I've been through a lot, man. With my ex-wife, my kid's mother, and just going through just life. Period, man. I didn't have nobody like me when I was growing up. I needed help. My father put a roof over my head, but he ain't teach me about how to pick the right woman and none of that. I used to talk to older men about all that, and I used to tell them, what a chick did or something like that. They'd be like, "Oh man, all chicks do that, da da da." But it's different levels of everything. So
But
I had to I had to learn through trial and error, man. So, and and they say life is a learning experience, but one life experience can be detrimental for the rest of your life. So with me going through all the things I've been through, I didn't have nobody to help me, and I had to figure things out the hard way, the long way. I mean, it was crazy, man. But I used to talk to myself a lot. I used to listen to music, and I used to meditate and just think things through. I became a deep thinker just to get myself out of situations, and like this is a hindsight looking back on how did I get through all this, because a lot of people can't handle what life throws at them, right? And so me being a barber, and a lot of people seen me down a couple times in my life, and they saw me get back up, and they started asking me questions. Remember back in Blase Blue when you was da da da, and I was like, how did you do that? Da da da. So I just started giving back to people and having empathy with people before I even knew what empathy was. I just used to give back to people because I felt their pain because I was there, and I had to, you develop a bunch of different personalities growing up just to make it on this planet I call the belly of the beast, because you got to develop different personalities just to survive. If you move into a different neighborhood or a different school, you got to you got to adjust to your neighborhood or the people that you're around, and that's developing different personalities. So I did all that, man, and now my life has been extremely transparent from way back then, and then I like I was kind of flat. I didn't think I was flashy, but being an artist, I always loved rocking Ralph Lauren. I just love dressing with the colors and all of that stuff. Was blessed to have a car. When you grow up and you don't have anything, I didn't. I don't like to say I grew up poor. We wasn't poor. My father put a roof over our head, but we didn't have the extra, cool stuff. You know what I mean? And so once I started making money, I just bought everything. Just and my mother put me on her credit card when I was like in 8th grade. So when I graduated high school, and I realized, I started looking at cars, didn't know, nothing about credit. So when I graduated cosmetology school, like I had like a 720, 740, something like that credit score. And then with the credit cards I had, me and my partner we used to go to the mansion in Manhattan, Ralph Lauren Polo Mansion, and we used to stay. I used to keep my credit cards maxed out on with Ralph Lauren because I didn't want to go in there with a bunch of money. I wanted to look professional. I saw, white people always pulling out cards, and I said, I'm gonna use my credit card. So I built my credit up without even knowing by buying Ralph Lauren and sneakers and stuff like that. And yeah, so with all that being said, man, people attracted to that. You know what I mean? And then I was nice with cutting, and then so people started wanting to be barbers. They started asking me about barbering, so I started mentoring guys on how to cut hair. And this back now you get paid for stuff like that. I was just giving free game forever, and I still do. You know what I mean? And building relationships over the years. Now all my young bulls that watch me grow up, seeing me fresh and all that, now they doing good. Young entrepreneurs, millionaires. Now they buying me sneakers and all that, thanking me for helping them navigate through life. Like I said, I developed empathy for people because I ain't have nobody like me growing up. So when young men came to me trying to be a better version of themselves, I just gave it to them, man. You know what I mean? Pause. Not you know what I mean. I just gave them the information, and in return, you build a relationships, and they are forever grateful for that. So relationships is everything. And yeah, so with all that being said, I navigated through life. People saw me navigate through life, and they wanted to come and get the information while I was cutting them. I ended up being too late giving them the information for my next client because I'm so engulfed in the conversation, not helping them. Because a lot of men, especially men, period, but black men, when they come to you and they're on their last string, man. They can't take no more, so they come to me and they tell me all their business to help them navigate. And I'm like, yo, you got to tell me everything because I can't help you if you're not telling me what's really going on. And they be at their wits end, man. They be ready to give up, do something crazy, or whatever. And I was able to help them get up out of certain situations, and it got to a point to where they was like, yo, go talk to Lamar, man. You know what I mean? He could help you like that. And it just started spreading, man. So people became, been coming to me for years. And, I just wrote the book last year. We talking about 39 years, but I'm trying to make everything crammed in a little quick session right here. But over the years, I just started having empathy for people when they started saying, man, you more than a barber, man. You more than a barber. Because before, I even, when I first started writing a book, they was like, you need to write a book. I titled the book Longevity. And it's crazy because I saw that a couple of weeks on my phone. My first Samsung that I had forever, it was called Longevity. But then when they started saying, man, you more than a barber, I said, oh, snap, that's a dope name. So I ended up naming the book More Than A Barber. So I didn't name the book. My clients came up with that name. And clients became family. My clients, man, they family. I'm down in Texas now, and they come down here, take me to the game. I love y'all, man. Y'all taking care of the old man. I love that. And they come down here, take me to the game. People be sending me sneakers, all that. So it's a beautiful thing, and I think that's God giving me confirmation with them doing all that I'm doing the right thing and to keep going. You know what I mean? Because now I'm down here and you attract who you are, and I'm attracting young men who are intrigued on how I do what I do, and I talk and I tell them what I've been through. I tell them, you know, I like us. Our This is our spiritual chemistry. It's like we're not telling you guys what to do. We're telling you guys what worked for us. It's a million ways to figure things out, but people like me and my wife chemistry, man, and they like how I talk. They like my answers to certain things, man, and that just comes from just just healing and praying and just going through life, man. And I tried everything else, but I had to really tap into my spiritual self to become who I am today, man. So every time when I talk, or like even right now, I always say I like to thank myself for allowing the spirit of God to manifest within me. because without tapping into my spiritual self, man, I don't think I would have made it, to be honest with you. And and ultimately, what made me write the book is what catapulted me into writing the book is people coming to me for help, and I pour my heart out to them, and they just leave, just feeling depressed, like I couldn't reach them, and a few, left me and committed suicide. Um, that was that resonated with me because sometimes it was over something that paled in the comparison of what I've been through. So I asked God, if I could make it, I need you to help me help people make it, man. Get out of that mindset and being playing the victim role. Nobody's exempt from life lessons. We all got to learn these lessons, man. But sometimes if you think woe is me or I don't deserve this, nobody's exempt from life lessons. Everybody got lessons to learn, and like even and that applies to our own kids as well. Like you got to learn them lessons, man, because if you don't, it's gonna keep happening to you until you learn how to go through it and don't let it get the best of you. Learn your lessons, man. All right. And so that's how the book came out. So I would be late with my next appointment because I'm helping people. So I said, what, let me write this book, put in the book so it could all be in there. And I still be talking and being late. You know what I mean? But I've been getting better. I get better sometimes. Sometimes now, some of the guys that I'm cutting, they won't talk to me because they know I'll have them late getting where they gotta go. But they'll be like, "Yo, I'll call you later, man. I got a question for you. I'll talk to you later."
That's
Yeah,
funny because
yeah.
when we're out, even here, like I'm asking you a question and you'll talk for 5 minutes and will not answer the question that I asked.
Mm-hmm.
Or if someone asks you a question, we're out and they're like, "Oh, hi, and how did you, whatever, whatever," he'll just talk and
Yeah.
then they're standing there like, okay, like, oh, that was great.
And I didn't write. Yeah, and you tell me, babe, answer the question. And so that's why even in here, I'd be like, did I answer your question? They'd be like, yeah and no, kinda. Yeah. I be having so much to say because, like I said, the empathy and passion and compassion for people. Because, like I said, I get a constant reminder of who I used to be through other people. You know what I mean? So I can't help it, man. It's a beautiful thing. I'm working my passion and living my purpose at the same time. I feel extremely blessed. And you attract who you are, man. I'm building amazing relationships right down here in Texas, man. It's a beautiful thing. I love it, man. I never thought I'd be cutting here this long, but I had restaurant for a couple of years. I had the construction company, flipping homes, working on houses, the Toro business, and the book and all that. But cutting hair is much. I'm too old to be. This was my last project in here, helping the guys do all this. Huh? I don't know. I know, right? And I saved a lot of money. You save a lot of money being nice with your hands. You know what I mean? So I saved a lot of money. That's how I got good returns on all my flips on the houses because I cut the middleman out. Did a lot of work myself and got that money back. Triple, quadruple sometimes. And but yeah, so yeah, you said never say never, huh? Yeah, I know, right? If I see that I can do it, I'm gonna do it. But I say all that to say that cutting hair, man, I get to meet cool new people all the way across the country, man. It's a beautiful thing, man. I was getting a lot of feedback from my young bulls in Connecticut on, wow, man, you moved all the way across country and you did your thing even bigger down here so fast. And that's just, I'm glad that they can see that because that goes to show, man, it's not about where you from, it's where you at and what's in here and what's in your heart, man. I believe that um, the foundation to any type of success in just life is you got to have like a good heart with good intentions for everybody, man. I believe that's how you start your foundation because you can't, you got people out here, you can't want the best for yourself and be wishing bad for everybody else. The universe don't like that, man. So you gotta give back. You can't keep that information to yourself. I believe I am partly a lot of I am where I'm at because I give back so much for free. And I even thought about creating a class and all that stuff. And I was like, you know what? Let me just go, do it as they ask, man, because these young men need it real quick. You know what I mean? So, and a lot of people can't afford that. So, I really believe that's why I've been blessed for a long time. But and like I'm 53 now, and like they come to me and say, Mr. Lamar, you're my father's age, but I can't talk to my dad. How come I could talk to you? What make you so different? I was like, I say, I had to unlearn my old school mindset and relearn so I could survive in today's time. A lot of dudes be like, man, you think you young, you da da da. I was like, nah, I'm the guy that bridged the gap between the young and the old because I'm listening to everybody. Like my answers are so different from everyone else about life and certain situations because it's like the name of the book is called More Than A Barber, the game of life from the perspective of a spiritual barber. But it's not just my perspective. I took everybody's perspective that sat in my chair for the past 30 plus years. And I took all of their perspectives and I put it in the book. So that's why it's so relatable. Like, I thank y'all for the feedback on the book. I would like for y'all to even comment on here whenever you get a chance to on how much you like the book and all that because I get that a lot, and especially now everywhere I go, people texting me from up top and down here now. Like they'll either say my wife took the book and she can't stop reading, or my brother, or da, da, da. Some people buying a bunch of books, and man, just it's so relatable to people and the way how I deliver the messages, man. It's great. So I need that feedback. We writing another book. She wrote a book too. It's called My Not So Cliche Is Life. It's dope. But we collabing on a book. We've been collabing for a minute. She way ahead on the book than I am. It's called the name of our book is called Blended, and it's about the blended family that we have. And yeah, that was a whole another thing too. But we got through it. And I'm saying all that to say that with me being the age that I am, there's an old school saying out there that a lot of older guys say, "Oh, you can't teach an old dog new tricks." Man, that's a lie. I mean, I'm 53. I'm still learning, and I'm learning from young and old. You could learn from anybody, right? So I respect a lot of the young cats that come to me and ask me questions, and because they're trying to be the best versions of themselves. But then you got some young kids that think they smarter than us, and I tell them, yo, you might know how to use the iPhone better than me, but life will tear your ass up. Life ain't no joke, man. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to the top conversations is relationships, women, men, finances, family. Oh man, those are the top conversations right there. And you got a lot of good-hearted people out here, and you got some evil people out here, and you know, uh, people who are bloodsuckers for your soul. They can smell a good-hearted person coming from a mile away, and they'll suck you dry if you allow it. And you gotta take your power back, man. You gotta stop letting that happen. You can't be mad at nobody but yourself if you keep allowing the same thing to happen to you. So you gotta have some discernment. Yeah, you gotta develop a good judge of character, and you gotta sense that, man. And not let people take you through the mud like that, because they ain't gonna stop. So you gotta learn them lessons, man. And I just lost my train of thought. I hate when I do that. I wanted to come back around. But what was I saying before that?
So
I hate that.
it'll come
What?
back.
What? Okay, go ahead. Keep going. Mm,
You have a very unique
dang. I hate when I do that. Yo. Dang. But yeah.
the position that you're in to be able to touch so many people. Like we talk all the time about purpose, living your purpose, and things like that. And then going back to when you're when you're answering a question and you're going all around to answer the question. I learned to just let you go because I don't even know where it's coming from, what you're going to say. So I just let you talk until you don't have anything else to say, and then I'll bring you back around to answer the question. Because early on, I realized that you were kind of like channeling messages from spirit, whatever you want to call it. Like I could tell the story of like we were early, it was early in our relationship. We were just hanging out talking, and then you closed your eyes and started saying something very profound to me that you shouldn't have known. And you were like telling me about myself and telling me about the way that I was, and different things. And there was no way you could have possibly known. And then I just started crying, and then you like opened your eyes and looked at me and was like, what did I say? And I know that's happened to you a lot in life. So that's why I just like I let you go and just talk to, because I don't know where it's coming from, if it's coming from you, if it's coming from somewhere else.
Well, that's the thing too. Even with guys in my chair, or even when I was in a private studio, it happened a lot where, you know, men ask me, they would be like, ask me certain questions. If they asked me one question, I would just start channeling, and they would be quiet, and they would be looking at me like, and I'll be sometimes my eyes will be closed, or I'll just be like, and I'm talking, and it's like something takes over me, and it's like I'm telling them everything. It's like, and I can't stop, and then before you know it, they're grown men is crying in the chair, and I think that was why God, everything happens for a reason. I was in that private studio in Milford, in Connecticut, man, and then I came down here, and I touched people straight from Connecticut. I got into the studio in Deep Ellum, and I just started. God be sending people to me that needs to hear certain messages, man. I swear, and years ago I realized that He uses. I'm a messenger for God, man, and because I asked Him to help me help people, and He was like, oh, okay. And so when they start telling, they be like, yo, how you know I needed to hear that? And I'll ask them, I was like, have you been praying or meditating? And they would be like, yeah. I was like, well, and I used to say that, I was like, you're not going to hear a deep voice out the sky, but then some people do, or some people do hear a voice. But more commonly, God uses us as vessels to relay messages to people. And I am a vessel. I am a soldier for God, and I relay messages to people. And it's a beautiful thing. And when the reaction that I get from people, man, that gives me confirmation that I am a soldier for God, man. It's a beautiful thing. I never thought I'd be talking like this. I never thought that. I used to clown all the people in church, my mom, my aunt, and all them and all that. But God really put me through, man, and He made me a believer. And I tapped in, like, and I tell people, a lot of people don't like to hear the word God. Some people be like, well, what God do you worship? It's a lot of different gods out there that people worship, but it's only one God, the ultimate. And you could call it the universe, the a higher source, a source, or whatever you want. But it's God, it's one God, man. And I'm grateful that I was raised that way. And when I was ready for it, like I tried everything else, and life put me on my knees a couple times, and I was like, man, I don't want to go to jail, because I was thinking, criminal shit, like crazy shit to lock me up. And I wasn't even spiritual at the time. At the time, I was like, man, I love women so much, I ain't going to jail. You know what I mean? That's what that was. That's what kept me out of jail. But not knowing that, I really believe that God chose me. But then again, I chose God too. I allowed it to God to manifest within me. What you think about that? Because some people say, God chose me, or you're a chosen one, you're a golden child, or some people say, no, you chose to allow God to, and that's what I felt because it was always there. And I like to tell people all the time that whether you like it or not, the spirit of God is in all of us. It's up to you if you want it or not, right? And and but some people be fighting it. You know what I mean? And so, like I said, I'm a light worker, so I let them know it's cool to be a soldier for God. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people think, all different type of scenarios on why they wouldn't want to be. I mean, like the devil got some strong soldiers out here, so God got some strong soldiers out here too. Man, I look the devil in the eye a lot, and they know God is undefeated, man. And when the devil come to me on some negative stuff, I just tell them, listen, man, I could feel your pain. I could help you. I could help you heal, man, because that's all it is. You got entities jumping into people. When you drinking, they call drinking is all the liquor stores is cause, they got spirits and all that. When you drinking, that's a spirit that you tapping into your spirit and you allowing entities to come into you. It's a lot of people that passed away on this planet that didn't cross over to the light, and they dwelling on this planet on planet Earth, and they jumping into people who's like alcoholics and drinking, and they can jump into you because they want to feel and taste that alcohol that you're drinking, and you could become something that you don't even realize when you're an alcoholic or on drugs or whatever. I see it all the time. People do things when they drunk, they black out, they do things, and then when they be regular, they don't believe what they did. That's because of them entities jumping your ass. Y'all better, you gotta listen, man. It's crazy out here. So I've been doing good with not drinking and not smoking, and I feel so much clearer because when you developing all these different personalities, man, and you realize like, and you can when you develop all these different personalities and you coming across people and you can see yourself and somebody else, you be like, damn, I used to be like that. But when you become your spiritual, like I believe your ultimate self is your spiritual self. And I believe when you walk in by faith and not by sight, that's an old school saying, but I never used to believe in that. But as you allow the spirit of God to manifest within you, you win a couple battles rocking, with God in your life, and you never thought that you would come up out of situations, but when you let go and let God, man, that's having faith that everything is gonna be all right. And once you keep winning battles like that, but allowing the spirit of God to manifest within you, it brings a calm over you, and you start looking at life through your spiritual lens, right? When you start looking at life through your spiritual lens, you see things much more clearer. And people can't understand that. And just like you said before, when we first met, what you said when you first met, I had a what about me that you,
Your Zen personality.
yeah, yeah. So like that's where that came from. I mean, I always, I was gonna say I was always cool, but I did get most popular in high school. I think I got the coolest, and I think I got something else. There's like three or four categories I had. One, but I was always real laid back and cool like that. But allowing God to manifest within me, it's like I became like, I love who I am today. I don't regret anything I've been through, man. They say pressure busts pipes, but pressure also creates diamonds as well. You got to make that choice, but you're gonna be a busted up pipe or a diamond out the rough. You know what I mean? But looking at life through a spiritual lens, man, you see things differently and clearly, and and you can tap into your superpowers when you allow that to happen. We all have superpowers if you tap into your spiritual self. Um, yeah, man, I would never change who I am. I love who I am today. You got to accept the good with the bad. It's not about what you go through. It's how you handle it. And the only way that I learn how to handle it is allowing the spirit of God to manifest with me through me and to see the outcome that nobody else, the average person, can't see. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
So, what are the conversations that are happening in the barbershop? Like, what are people's concerns these days?
Well, that's like I said earlier. I mean, it's the top five things is the number one thing is relationships, women. Like people see me and your chemistry and they want to know how we got that. That's how we started this podcast. People was like, yo, y'all need to. First, they were saying we need to go on some site called the Silver People or something like that.
Yeah.
What they call it, the men with the great beards or salt and pepper or silver people, whatever. But then they felt our energy and they was like, how did y'all get that? Or like we could be out. This was another one, and like people, all around, and I'll give you my phone, or you open my phone up, and dudes will be pulling me to the side, like, yo, your girl know the password to your phone, and they just have no idea. You know what I mean? Like I've been through a lot, man. I was blessed early to date a lot of women, yo. All types of beautiful women, man, and I learned a lot about women, but most importantly, I learned a lot about myself. And I got it out my system, man. I just got tired of, you know, just with all of the craziness that come with all that. And and that's what I tell young men nowadays, man. Date a lot while you're young, so you can learn a lot about women, but most importantly, learn a lot about yourself. And it's going to be one or two decisions you're going to make with dating a lot while you're young. First of all, you need that experience because later on in life, when you're ready to settle down, you'll have the experience to know what type of woman is compatible for you. Because a lot of guys, and it's, shout out to all the people that married their high school sweethearts and still married. Y'all been through hell and back, and y'all still together. Much respect to that. Because when you young, you don't even know who you are, and 9 times out of 10, y'all grow apart, right? And so, but I tell young men, it's good to date while you're younger. Don't take anything serious. Let the women know that you just dating. You don't want to take nothing serious right now. You're just trying to, get some experience there and let them decide on if they want to deal with you or not. Don't be lying to them, telling them you're going to do this with them, or they're going to be your girl just to do whatever. That karma, something else, boy. Don't play with women's feelings like that. You get hurt. Right? But anyway, let them know off the rip. Let them know if they want to deal with you or not. Date, man, so you can learn a lot. And then you're gonna make a decision. You're gonna be like, damn, I love women so much. I'm gonna have a million chicks until I die. Or you're gonna get tired of it one day. You're gonna be like, man, I need to settle down. And you know what? But now it'll be easy for you to settle down because you got the experience, and you could go. You could be like, damn, that chick I was dating black and back in Blase Blue, I like that type of energy. So when you come across, because life becomes a feeling process after a while, right? You could feel energy, personalities start repeating themselves. And once you out there, man, and you really know how to date and you playing the field and you ready to settle down, you gonna that energy and that personality gonna come across you again. And if you're in a position, you got your stuff together, everybody want to get them a queen, but you got to become that king so you could attract that queen. And that's the same thing with young queens out there too. You got to become that queen so you could attract that king. And once you do that, man, you have the experience, and it just clicks. It's much easier, and you can sail off into the sunset like we doing right here. I mean, this my dog right here, right? We've been through a lot of the same stuff, man. So we click on all type of levels, man. A lot of men, I be cutting people for their weddings, and all the whole, all of the people in the wedding, the groom, what you call it, the grooms and the what is it, the best man, and all that, the people in their wedding, they be asking me questions like, man, is it true that you could just be monogamous with one woman? I'd be like, yeah, but it comes with a level of maturity, experience, and the right woman will change all that. But you would never know if you got the right woman if you don't have the experience. So while you young, all you young men out there, man, date, man. You know what I mean? And so you can get that experience, so you can know what's good for you, man. Get your work on yourself. You know what I mean? So you can, like I said, become that king that that queen is looking for. It's gonna happen real easy when you do it that way. Trust me. You can thank me now, or you can thank me later. I'll take it either way.
So something that you touched on earlier that I wanted to go back around to when we're talking about learning our lessons and kind of like wanting someone to looking for someone to help, like you mentioned, not having a mentor or someone to guide you on picking women and stuff like that. Um, Something that just came across to me was kind of like, well, we have to go through our, you said we have to go through our own lessons. And a lot of times we judge our parents, our children judge us. Like we're always critiquing and thinking what should have been done, could have been done, and that I believe gets us in a lot of these situations where when we judge our parents or we judge other situations, judging period, like
No good.
it puts you in a situation where you can
A catastrophic situation, because that's when you're judging, especially the close ones to you. It's like you're blaming somebody else for the outcome of your life, right? And I realize that, and I tell a lot of young men, you got to have empathy for your parents, man. You know what I mean? You got to think about, especially, you know, you know, all walks of life. You got to have empathy for your parents, because that whatever worked for them when it was what they was taught, they pass it on to you. But we, you different generations, man. You know what I mean? We grew up with, but when we was younger, we didn't have what these kids have now. You got the cell phone in your, the whole world is in your hand right now. So as I watch the generations evolve, our parents did the best they can do with the information they had. Once you grow up and you start being an adult and you have kids and all that, you'll realize, like, damn, you know what I mean? You got to have empathy for your parents, man, because, and that's how you start the healing people. You got to forgive and have empathy, because wow, like I think about the stories they used to tell us back then, and how when we grew up, we didn't have none of that, and now these kids growing up. So ask your aunties and your uncles about how your father was, what he'd been through, or your grandmother, or whatever, and so they can paint the picture on why your parents are the way they are, your mother or your father, if they was good or bad. Most of the time, it's like a lot of men don't. They're upset with their father because their father wasn't around, or you don't know what your father been through. You don't know what your mother and father been through together as a couple. Maybe one of them had to get away so they can save themselves, or to save each other. It's easy to make a kid. It's hard being a parent, and so growing up, and like I used to judge men for not being in their kids' life, but from the outside looking in, people see that I'm not, around my kids like that. And it's because, uh, like you never know what the guy was going through with his kid's mother, and sometimes, especially as a black man, like you can't be in court doing crazy shit to your baby mother and all that. So sometimes you got to get away, because when certain women, they become evil, with and from not healing in their past life or whatever it is. Men too, it's not just women. People become evil and they do crazy stuff to their partners, and you got to get away, because you could end up in jail or dead or killing somebody or whatever. So you got to get away to save yourself. And even when it comes to your own kid, like I fought for years in court, you know, spending mad close to probably $50,000 in court fighting for my kids, because I wanted to break that cycle of a father not being around their kids. But the court didn't care, their mother didn't care, And I fought until they got to young adults, and it just kept getting crazier and crazier. And I just was like, you know what? I realized that every going back to what you said, I finally did it. I'm coming back in full circle. I got it. I got it. Even with my own kids, I realized that everybody have their own life lessons to learn. And during that whole whirlwind of my situation with my ex and my kids and all that, I went through this whole whirlwind. I came out like, oh shit, I learned my lesson. Like I gotta save myself because this shit is killing me, right? And but it's men out, it's people out there that don't care. Like if you don't care, that person can't use the kids as a pawn to drag you through the mud. But you got good-hearted people; they go through shit like that. That's why I be helping a lot of people that's good-hearted young men and young women. They got people out here that's sucking the soul out of you because they know that you a good person, and they feed off of that. So you got to take your power back, man. You got to learn who you're dealing with. Make sure you be careful on who you having kids with, man. You know what I mean? Because even till this day, even down here in Connecticut, down here, that's the number one conversation in the chair. Like women and their kids and the finances and all that. Men is really trying to break the cycle of the father not being in the home, but you gotta be a step ahead and make sure you know who you about to impregnate. Because man, that'd be a life sentence fighting for your kids, bro. When somebody don't have a heart, or not even a heart, they don't have a soul. You dealing with a soulless person?
Well,
Woo, man, that shit is crazy.
we've talked about
Look
it.
at this beard. This is a lot of wisdom right here. That's why I rock it so hard, bro. A lot of good wisdom in here.
We've talked about the reasons why people do the things that they do. Like a lot of it is they're they get controlling because of trauma. They're trying to protect themselves. We've got people who have attachments and they're not
It's all. Sometimes it's all combined.
right. It could be, but we don't want to say that people are soulless because it's just that they let their trauma
Control
get
them.
the best of
Well,
them.
they end up being soulless and don't even know it. I
Right.
put it
They're
that way. They
just
cannot have a soul and don't know they don't. And don't know they have
well,
don't
their
have a soul.
soul is being
Control.
overrun
Right.
by.
Right.
So
And that's exactly what it is. When you got a lot of trauma and you don't heal from your trauma, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's what I talk about in the book a lot, man. You gotta heal, man. If you don't heal, you can become a soulless person, heartless, and because when you don't heal, the human mind can only take but so much trauma, and without you even knowing, you become like a control freak where you got to control everything because your mind is scared and your body and your soul is scared to get hurt again. So you want to control everything around you so you don't let it happen again. But what you're doing is you're creating enemies. People don't like you. Like you can't see it because you're protecting yourself and you feel good. Like, yeah, I ain't letting that shit happen to me again. You know what I mean? But you're running people away from you. You're pushing people away from you. And but you become some people. It's different levels of everything. You got some master manipulators out
well,
there.
think about it like this: when because the mind
We're gonna have to
is
speak up a little louder because the AC came up too.
because the mind is so fragile and um, if you have too much trauma and the brain, let's say its main job is to protect you, right? So you've had too much traumatic experiences in your life, and now it's trying to protect you, preserve you. So it'll have you like forget stuff. It didn't happen. It
Right.
didn't,
Yeah.
completely change the way that you experience something because of the memories and the way that you're looking at it. There there could be other personalities that
And that's a
come.
scary part because
They really
they really
believe their
believe their
lies
lies. That
and the story
uh,
that they're telling. And it's not because they're this big bad evil person. It's because they're
that's what their
traumatized,
brain is
and
wired differently, and
it's
it's scary to have someone in your life that emphatically believes their own lies. And when they go around telling people their side of the story, they sound so convincing
because that's their truth.
because that's their truth. And man, y'all got to know the signs of this because if you get into an entanglement and have kids or just be with a person like that, man, that's like what's that TV station, Lifetime, the Lifetime movie station. Man, those movies be like like my life. Like my shit could be in a movie, you know what I mean? But and not only me, everybody, you know what I mean? What helped me, and another thing that helped me navigate through the shit I was going through in my life, when I got on social media like in 2012, 2013, and I saw some of the most prominent people that I looked up to telling their stories, and it sounded like they was talking about me. And they were going through the same thing. So nobody's exempt. Going back to what I said earlier, nobody's exempt from life lessons. I don't care how much money you got. You got people taking their lives with $100 million in the bank because that's how serious life can be. You got to figure it out, man. It's real serious, man. So like I'm extremely proud of myself for not giving up. You know what I mean? And living to tell and help men navigate through life. Man, it's a beautiful thing, bro. Because like I said earlier, a few people left my chair and committed, took their life because they couldn't handle, man. And so I was like, wow, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Over, it's really sad, man. But like I beg of y'all, man, to really, heal, develop a good judge of character, learn your lessons, have empathy. You got to forgive the people that hurt you. Because if not, you gave that person all the power over your mind, body, and soul. Somebody hurt you 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they come around today and you feel it in your gut where you wish the worst for them. You just gave them power over your mind, body, and soul on something they did to you 10 years ago. So you gotta forgive them for yourself. Now you don't even gotta let them know that you forgave them. Just forgive them so you can let it go because it's a lot of good positive energy on this planet that you can receive, but you can't because you got all this negative stuff inside of you, and that can eat you up. You know what I mean? It can have you bitter. It can have you all types of shit, man. So you gotta heal, forgive, man. A lot of people, when I tell people they gotta forgive, they be like, man, fuck that, I ain't forgiving, da 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 da. And I'll be like, I just let it go because I'll be like, you got, hopefully he'll come to that point or she'll come to that point to where what I said to them and be like, you know what, let me call this dude and see what he's talking about. Because take your power back. It's a beautiful thing, man. You gotta let go. Everybody got their own lessons to learn. Our kids got their. As bad as we want our kids to be a better version and a better extension of ourselves, you gotta let it go. And some people call it tough love or whatever. You know what I mean? But if you keep enabling your kid not to, to be what they're doing, we bad parents for that because enabling equals disabling. If you enabling your kids, you're disabling them to learn their lesson because you can't keep bailing them out. You know what I mean? If you know that what we've been through and we made it, it's a million stories out there that you got a lot of people out there that play the victim role. When you play the victim role, man, it's like you just give up on life and you can't. If you can't get over that, you're stuck in a place to where you're by yourself and you just give up on life, and that's the wrong thing to do, man. I beg of y'all to learn that lesson, man. Get over it, man. Get mad at you don't blame everybody else. You got to be accountable for your own shit, man. You know what I mean? Nobody's exempt from these life lessons, man. You gotta go through it because your mom, your dad, people who's enabling you and bailing you out all the time, they gonna die one day. They're gonna pass away, they're gonna move on, and then now you're gonna be stuck and begging people to sleep on their couch, or you can end up all type of ways. You know what I mean? And I'm not downing people for that, but I'm just trying to uplift you and make you aware that no matter what you go through, you can change the outcome of that. You really, really could, man. You just gotta really want it, man. Don't give up. You know what I mean? It's so many good people out there that just can't get it. And it's a saying out there, you can't want more for somebody else than they want for themselves, man. I used to lose myself because I saw the potential in people healing and getting better, but they just couldn't get over that hump. And I had to stop. I would get headaches talking and trying to help. And so the second best thing I realized is I could just lead by example and let them watch and watch, let them watch me. I've been up and down. That's why I'm extremely transparent with who I am, because I just don't let people see all the good things. I post the bad things too. You know what I mean? Or I talk about the bad things out loud, and to let people know that how you bounce back. You know what I mean? Because from the outside looking in, people think, you know, wow. Like when I first wrote the book, I had the book release party. I got to the party late, and people got there early. They was reading the book. When I got there, people was in the book like this, and most people was like halfway through the book, and they was coming up to me like, "Yo, I never knew you been through this, dog. I would have never known. Thank you for this. Thank you, thank you, thank you." So you can't judge a book by its cover. You never know what somebody's going through, man. That's why, another reason why I wrote the book, because people like think I really had it easy, and I didn't, you know.
So,
So yeah.
two things that I want to dig deeper in what you just said. One is what were those moments that made you realize, okay, like I have to forgive, or I have to let go of certain things?
Because I wanted to hurt the people who hurt me, but I wanted to hurt them even more because they wouldn't stop. You know what I mean? They just kept, hurt, like doing grimy shit, and it's the closest ones to you. And you like, then you wouldn't do that to somebody, you wouldn't do that to them, but they doing it to you. Whether it be, your ex-wife, your mother, your father, anybody, close member, anybody, a good friend, you know. But yeah, so you start having these demonic thoughts, and I know that I wasn't that type of person. It was like an entity coming into me. When your spirit is at its lowest point, you got these entities that I was talking about. Not only jumping into people that's drinking and smoking and taking drugs. If your soul, if your heart, if your mind is depleted, and you're at your wits end, they jump into you, man, and have you thinking crazy shit.
Well,
And that scared me because I had a gun in my hand and I was ready to do whatever. And I was like, it's like, I always compare that moment to cartoons when you had a cartoon. I forgot what cartoon it was. You had the devil on one shoulder, you had the angel, and it's like, and both of them is in my head. And man, I just started, and that's why I thank my aunties, my mom, and God bless my grandma. My grandma I got her face pinned up on the station over there. I posted a video. Grandma watching over me in here. My grandmother, man, I used to have deep conversations with her. I just thought about how they just, was so spiritual, man. You know what I mean? And they've been through a lot, and they still have a good soul, man. You know what I mean? They still are awesome people. They didn't let it change them. I thought about all of that stuff when I was at my darkest point, and I am so grateful that I'm so grateful that, like I said, this the spirit of God. I tapped into that, man. I tapped into just I've thought about all the people who love me. You know what I mean? That's why I say that if you focus on the negative, if you focus on the bad, you get consumed with that. You can fucking lose yourself. I started focusing on the love. I think that's what got me out of that situation. Yeah. I wasn't even spiritual back then like that. I didn't know I was. My mother said I was blessed. I didn't know I was. It was always something about me that I heard a lot. But like I said, with me, I love the women so much, and I love my family that love me. I focused on that mainly. My when it came down to the ultimate, deepest, darkest time of my life, I thought about the people who love me, and I just realized that that wasn't me. And you start crying because you was like, damn, I was really about to do some crazy shit. You know what I mean? And so from that point on, man, I just and I, it was crazy, man. I talked a few people out of, taking their life a couple times. And one time, one of my good friends, man, he stopped coming around because he didn't want to hear what I had to say, and he took his life. You know what I mean? And that was like his probably third or fourth time wanting to do it, and he succeeded that last time. And you know, we all have. When I tell a story in my chair to people or talking amongst people, everybody knows somebody who took their life. You know what I mean? So um, it ain't no joke, man. So I just thank God that I am who I am today. That I made it, man, and I will never stop giving back to people because everybody need everybody needs that shit, man. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's a valuable lesson. The love at love frequency is very powerful.
Yeah.
And, listening to that, you think about the saying, misery loves company, right? So, whatever that is that has control of the mind of the person that you're dealing with is trying to get you on that same level, right?
Absolutely.
That it's trying to get you to be on that level. It's trying to pull you from your purpose. It's trying to, there's like spiritual warfare. There's a whole
all day long,
right,
every day, all day. No matter, even though I am where I'm at spiritually, I don't know if God, the universe is sending them, or the devil just got some strong soldiers out here too. And it's a constant battle, man. You could never let your guard down. And I'm aware of it. So, but it's never gonna stop because I have to stay sharp for one, and it's new lessons to learn all the time. And you could never get too comfortable, because especially when you have a business, you're a business owner, or just working in your field amongst other top of the line professionals. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter. Life. It doesn't matter how educated you are. It doesn't matter what you are. It's a mindset. It's not even. It's just entities. It's just shit getting into people, and it's attacking you all the time.
Well, I think that people need to educate themselves on what's actually happening because, for the longest time, you talk about things like this and people look at you like you're crazy. But, people go to the doctor, they're having issues, they give them a pill to make them stop having issues, but they're never addressing what the problem is, what's actually causing the distress, um, multiple personalities, and they want to, give you medicine. Everything is suppressing, dulling. No one's getting to the root of what is actually going on in the world. And knowing the signs to look at when someone is displaying um, symptoms or characteristics of having trauma, having, a lot of stuff going on, to try to get them help, to try to make them aware, or to save yourself and get yourself out of that situation before you're, on an 18, 20 something year bid with a person that there were signs
Right.
in the beginning. But another thing that I wanted to tap into is when you were talking about the children and kind of letting them learn their own lessons. I think the hardest lesson for parents is to let their kids go and figure things out. I see a lot of, like you see on social media, a lot of parents shaming people like, oh, my kids can always come home, my kids can always, yes, that's beautiful, but you have to know what type of child you're dealing with. If they're going to take advantage of that and not reach their full potential, don't you
Absolutely.
want your children to fly, leave the nest and
Absolutely.
figure
Right.
things out
Right.
and learn their lessons and then go step into their purpose and what they're intended,
Absolutely.
instead of saying you want to be your child's friend.
Right.
And I think that's what,
Kids are great manipulators.
and they have attachments,
And
they
they have
have
attachment. There
entities
you
that
go.
are, if you have a purpose, they're coming around.
There you
And
go. It's always the
from
closest one to you.
it's
Even your
from it's
kids.
from when they're little,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
things can attach to
I
anything.
heard that a lot lately.
So, when you're at your wit's end and your child is screaming and crying and you don't know what you, and then you have thoughts, like all these things aren't normal. Like you have to pay attention to these things and
Facts.
then make sure you're like,
Yeah.
okay, take a step back, pull yourself away and realize what's going on, start raising your vibration, clearing your thoughts, have positive thoughts. If you need to pray, whatever you need to do to, um, we need to just be more conscious of what's going on
Right.
and stop burying our head in the sand and acting like everything's hunky dory and that there's a magic pill for everything that's going to fix whatever people are dealing with, because that's not the reality of the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and and everything is split down the middle, man. People, like you said, you got people who want to be their kid's best friend and keep allowing them to use them and to you. It's like we said earlier, enabling is disabling. You're never letting them learn their lesson, man. It's like they have. It's a lot of comedians out there. Not even comedians. It's a lot of skits on social media now about. They got skits of kids in the 80s, kids in the 90s, kids in the 2000s, kids now, and the evolution of kids getting real soft right now, and parents getting soft. You know what I mean? And what happened to the tough love? What happened to the allowing the kids to toughen up and learn their lessons and coddling them too much, trying to protect them. But then when you get sick and ill, you coddle this kid so much. Now you just put them into the world blinded, and then they can't handle. And those be the ones that give up on life, right? Or do something that they can't come back from.
Right.
And I believe that and that's actually being a bad parent without even knowing that you're being a bad
Right.
parent.
You think
you're
you're
doing
being a good parent by
right,
having a good relationship with your kid. You're giving them everything. You're
right,
and yeah, they love that shit, so they're gonna
right. They're gonna stay as
your
long as
best
you.
friend. But
A lot of people would do that nowadays because that makes life easier, but it's
right.
not making life easier.
Right.
You setting them up for failure.
There you go.
You setting them up for failure, man. You got to get like these kids. Man, I'm happy I grew up at the time I grew up with the parents. Like I don't, like you got to accept the good with the bad. I tell people that all the time, man. I talk about what my stepdad, my father did, and all that. It was fucking crazy, but I came out a diamond from the rough. Like I'm so like, man. I don't. But I said I embrace all of that because it made me who I am today, man. And I help young men navigate through life with that mindset. You know what I mean? And now they're teaching their kids that. You know what I mean? And they're reminding me that. And like I said, man, I'm not taking a lot of credit for none of this. I just thank God for allowing to help me see clearly through my spiritual self, man. And but a lot of this stuff, I can't say common sense because common sense is not real common nowadays, right?
Well, I think that we thought that our parents were too rough on us, and we were like, oh, we're gonna do different, we're gonna show our kids love, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that.
It backfired on us.
Big time.
It backfired on us. They looking around like, oh, my parents are doing good, or da da da. I can sit here and just chill out and live my best life.
Well,
I like what Shaq said. Shaq was like, this is not your house. This is not your money. You're gonna have to show me before I give you anything. You gotta earn it. You know what I mean?
right.
It's a lot of parents that's like I said, it's 50-50, but you were about to say what?
There's that saying about how the wealth like skips generations because you have
the grandparents are smart.
They worked hard,
Yeah.
and then their kids kind of like slacked off a little bit because they had it easy, and then the grandchildren didn't have the luxury, so they work hard. It like skips.
Yeah.
So we definitely
you see that in your field, right? The grandparents leave the money to the grandchildren. They don't, yeah.
But two, another thing that I see in my field is when you have elderly parent and they have fixed income or they have whatever money that they have to live on, and then they have their adult child manipulating them to take their retirement money to buy them a car, to buy them a house, and like they're yelling at their parent like, just give me the fucking money, like you know. And I'm talking to the elderly parent like, you know, what are you doing? This is your money that you have to live off of. You know, and they feel bad. They feel like they have to help their kid, but that's not helping your kid.
Right.
That's, you know, and now you're an elderly person eating cat food because
that's funny
you let your adult child not step into what they're supposed to be doing to take care of them themselves.
One of my clients just said that the other day. He was saying, we was talking about something like this, and he was saying his boss told him that he doesn't lend people money because you're enabling that person.
Right. That's just
and they already created that situation that they're already in, and if you bail them out, they're just gonna keep repeating it.
That's like having a spouse or a child or someone that's on drugs. If you keep, you know, giving them money,
I've seen that.
You're enabling them. They're not gonna hit their rock bottom. They're gonna suck you dry. You know, you have to be the sensible one. They're not gonna come to their senses. They're, you know.
Yeah, I see that happen a lot. So yeah, all the parents who are giving their kids tough love, because we know what it's like. We're battle tested and we made it with tough love. I think that's essential. That's a key part of raising your kids. But, you know, people gonna do what they gotta do, man. We're not telling people what to do. We're telling people what worked for us. And, you know, it's still not easy for us. We still battling. You know what I mean? But boundaries, right? What's up with boundaries? Don't you like that word? Yeah, boundaries. You gotta hold up to them boundaries. You gotta set boundaries, man. To hold firm and not allow, you know, people, your kids, whoever it is, to manipulate and to play the victim role. Everybody goes through some shit. No matter what we go through, there's always somebody who going through way worse shit than you going through. And I seen, and like a lot of people say, man, sometimes I could be hard, but I think as being a barber, man, I know everybody's business, and I seen the outcome from these two different situations that we're talking about. And the kids, the parents that give, they end up broke. They end up without their spouse because the other spouse wasn't agreeing with what they felt, and then now you enable that kid. These are real stories. Like I can't even make this up. I've been cutting these young men since they were 1 years old. They ended up making choices. And life is all about choice. They end up making bad choices. They had the mother and father in the home. The father was, if the mother and father is not on the same page with the disciplinarian actions with these kids, that separates the relationship, the marriage. Father says no, or it could be the mother that's a disciplinary. If one of the parents doing sneaky shit to help keep enabling that kid or bailing that kid out of certain situations, the father be like, no, the mother be like, nah. One of the parents that's the disciplinary gonna be like, shit, what am I here for? Like, I don't need to be here. You doing whatever you want. Like, we got to be on the same page with these kids. They manipulating us. They creating friction in our relationship. These kids gonna be gone one day. It's supposed to be me and you, or you know, the parent really can't help from. It's like either mama's boy or daddy's girl or whatever you want it to be. The mother end up, true story, bailing the kid out of jail, put the house up. Put the house up to get the kid out of jail. The kid goes on the run, lose the house. Husband leave. Now you don't have a house. Your husband gone, and your kid is in jail. Kid get out of jail. Now he in the house in your little apartment. You used to have a house. You and your son in the house. Now they 9 times out of 10 the kids is on drugs. The mother just loves the kids so much, or it could be the father, whatever. Now the lady comes to me, Lamar, could you believe? Look what he did to me. Now your son black in your eye because you done spoiled him so much. Now you trying to hold on to your little bit of crumbs, and he know you got a little bit of crumbs. He want to take that from you, and now your son is beating you up like for real. I seen this happen, and I can't talk to the kid now because he's 30 years old, 30-something years old. He ready for all the smoke. I can't want more for you than you want for yourself. I told you, you know what I mean? But these are true stories, man. That's how long I've been cutting. It's crazy watching these kids go from 1 years old to now they 35 and 40 years old. And you see, and you got some cases where I had a doctor, he came to me one day. I've been cutting him for a while. His wife is like a lawyer or something. He said, Lamar, man, I got 3 kids and I only like one of them motherfuckers. And I was like, he's like, man, he said, he's in our house. He got the blueprint for free, but he chose to be an asshole. And I'd be like, it's all about choices. Parents come to me, it's like, Lamar, I don't know what I did wrong. I said, you didn't do nothing wrong. Your son or your daughter chose that. They chose to be like that. So that's why, with me, I did everything I could to know that I did everything I could, but it's sometimes out of your hands. Yeah, and like I said, I've had to apologize to men that I used to judge was in their kids' life because I didn't know until I went through it, right? You was about to say what?
Well, the kids have to learn their lessons, and hopefully they come back around. Right. Or they come out of it, they clean it up,
and that's a beautiful thing because a lot of them do come back around and they apologize to me. They apologize to their mother. Some of them bring their mothers to the shop and apologize to both of us. You know what I mean? Because we was trying to help them a lot, but some of them had to bump their heads.
Sometimes you gotta hit rock bottom, and then when you get there, you're like, damn, like I had help, and now, I burned so many bridges. I did this, I did that. So, we could just hope for the best and continue guarding ourselves and just send them love
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
positive
Absolutely.
energy.
So yeah, so this was a good one right here. This was a good part right here.
Good place to
And,
end.
huh?
It's a good place to end.
Yeah. Did you want to drop any gems?
No, this is your episode. You dropped the gems.
Um, um, I have so many. Which one? Yeah. So one other thing too. It's all about you know making choices, man. And when you're making choices, you're creating a certain type of mindset for yourself. I respect the young kids who are trying to become their ultimate self, and they're asking people who influence them, who they look up to. Don't be afraid to ask people who you see making moves that you envy could be in a good way or in a bad way. You want to be, they inspire you, people you aspire to be like. Ask questions, man, because 9 times out of 10, they want to give back to you. And don't be like a lot of the kids who think they know everything already, because I've seen that happens and a lot of with a lot of bad outcomes to that. But just keep don't hate, man. Don't be a hater. If you're a hater, man, God bless you. Yo. Don't be a hater, man.
Don't
Just
be a hater.
don't be a hater, man. And let that whoever is doing what they're doing use that for motivation and ask them questions because they'll give it to you, man. And I want to give a shout out to the kids who ask those questions, man, and become their ultimate self. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I want to say. Don't. It's all about mindset, yo. I can have conversations. I be having dope conversations with a 19-year-old that's finishing my sentence for me, as opposed to some men that's 55, 60 years old that never figured it out. I can't even talk to them, but it's not about your age, man. It's about your mindset, yo. So all them young bulls out there that's figuring it out early, kudos to you, man.
And you can teach a dog new tricks.
And you can teach your old dog new tricks. You say you can teach a dog new tricks. You can teach your old dog new tricks because I learned from your young bulls too. You know what I mean? So that's part of the reason why I'm still relevant. Aside from allowing God to manifest within me, I learned a lot from my young bulls out there. I appreciate the information that y'all give me. You know, you got your boy feeling good, fresh. You know what I mean? Let's keep sharing that information. Iron sharpens iron. That's facts. I love all my strong CEOs that be coming in here. You attract who you are. Like I said, man, do that work, that shadow work, become your ultimate self so you can attract and receive abundance. Abundance is not all about money, it's mind, body, and soul. So you can feel like you're flying all day long, every day. It's gonna be some some turbulence, but you shake that shit right off, man, and you keep moving forward. All right, it's not gonna never stop. Trust me, it ain't gonna never stop. Even the negative people that's around us, they keep us sharp too. You know what I mean? We need that. We need that as a measuring stick to be blessed to not be like that. You know, use that as a measuring stick on being happy. On damn, I'm glad I used to be that. I'm not that no more. So we need that. You know what I mean? Sometimes we work on our craft a lot, trying to make all this money and be the best we could be financially and all that. But sometimes, you got to sit back and enjoy where you're at. We're working to keep furthering our finances, our jobs and all that. But sometimes you got to sit back, have a glass of wine or listen to whatever music you like and be like, damn, I did all right for myself. I ain't done, but I'm glad that I'm not like that. You know what I mean?
Better today.
Absolutely. I'm better today than I was yesterday. Yo, give yourself some credit. We give everybody else too much credit and don't give ourselves enough credit. Give yourself some credit, yo. That's my final gem for today. Peace and love. That's my dog right here. Love you to death.
Love you.
All right.
Peace, guys.
Peace, y'all.
We love y'all.